Hello everyone, it's Sal, Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me, guys, in my humble abode. Really appreciate it, guys. Hope everyone's doing good. It is Sunday. We're more mellow. We're more relaxed. We're going to take it easy and we're going to prepare for the week ahead, of course, guys, because it's going to be a massive week. I can feel it in my bones. It's going to be a massive week, guys. I feel, guys. Listen, I feel like the Mbeumo deal is so close. It's so close, the Mbeumo deal, and I feel we're going to get this deal done very, very soon, guys. Absolutely. Let me just get myself sorted out a little bit. Yeah, I'm in a different location. Same house, different location, of course, guys. But thank you, everyone, for joining me today, of course. I hope you're all doing well. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash a like on the video. If you guys can do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today, of course. And don't forget your notifications as well, guys. That'd be brilliant. Now, let's get into it. Obviously, there was the news about Onana injured for about 6 to 8 weeks yesterday. I want to know what your feelings are in regards to this, because I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions out there in regards to Onana and in regards to how he managed to get a hamstring injury. Being a goalkeeper. And then I looked at the fact that what he's been doing over the summer, and you look at what he's been doing over the summer, this guy has been playing in slums and things like that, right? He didn't get any injuries playing in slums and things. You've seen the videos, right? You've seen the videos. And then as soon as he goes to training for Manchester United, that's it. He's injured. Come on. Do you know what I mean? We're better off playing in the slums then, ain't we, at the end of the day? My goodness me. Is it incompetence? Is it incompetence? What's going on with this football club? Are we that incompetent? Are the players that, I don't know, I don't want to say something rude, but they just seem, so bozo like, right? Some of our players are just such bozos. I don't know how to say it. It's just, I don't want to come across as disingenuous or rude or disrespectful, but it just comes across like that, doesn't it, guys? It really does. And I hate to say that, but it does feel that way, with Onana and other players in the squad as well. It does feel like they're not really serious. They're not really, how would I say it? Committed to the cause 100%. They're not thinking about looking after their bodies, nutrition and stuff like that. And I couldn't believe, like, how could a goalkeeper get a hamstring injury? Hamstring injuries, right? Ryan Giggs used to get hamstring injuries. Ryan Giggs. And the reason Ryan Giggs got hamstring injuries is because Ryan Giggs used to run up and down the pitch, back and forth, back and forth. He used to run back and forth up and down the pitch. That's the reason that Ryan Giggs got hamstring injuries. But Onana getting a hamstring injury, it's just crazy. Hope you all do well, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, of course, on Sunday, of course, guys. Hope everyone is doing blessed. Let's read some of your comments, guys. Over. Good morning, Sanjay. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Good morning, Ephraim. Good to see you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So, is there any Rodrigo? Look, I'm going to get into the Rodrigo thing now, guys. I'm going to say things on this channel, right? I tend to talk about things that I think are realistic. Right. I don't think the Rodrigo deal is realistic. I think if Manchester United are this close to signing Mbeumo, Man United are not going to sign Rodrigo. It won't happen. There are various outlets out there saying that Man United could go in for Rodrigo, blah, blah, blah. Now, where are we going to play him? Number one, because we're going to have Mbeumo, we're going to have Cunha. So I don't think we're going to buy Rodrigo or Mbeumo to be a bench option, to be honest with you. As well as being 70, 80 million euros, I think his valuation is even more than that. I don't think Man United are going to make that move. I think that's another bit of spin that we have to be careful of in the media, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to spin all these transfer rumours and stuff like that, which we don't want, do we? At the end of the day, we want to look at things in a realistic way and a way that is fair for the Manchester United fan base, because I don't want to come on here and give people false hope. I don't want to come on here and tell fibs, because I feel it as well, because ultimately what I want, and I fight tooth and nail every day. I'm out here in Italy. I'm trying to find out news about Manchester United, and I fight tooth and nail trying to find the truth. And sometimes it doesn't come to fruition. Sometimes the truth doesn't come. Sometimes things are true, but they don't happen. Do you know what I mean? This is what people don't understand. Sometimes you be linked to a player, and you could truthfully be linked to a player, right? But it doesn't mean you're going to sign him, right? It doesn't mean you're going to sign him. Sometimes things can change in football, like day to day. They can change, even minute to minute, second to second. Things can change in football. You can have an agreement, with a football club, and then 5 minutes later they've rang up and they've said, oh well, we're thinking about that little bit of a stipulation in the contract. Maybe if you can give us this, and that happens, that happens a lot, to be honest with you, the Rodrigo story. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Arsenal, are Arsenal going to get him? He's been linked with Arsenal and stuff, but, good player. I don't think he's as good as people think. I prefer Mbeumo myself. I think Mbeumo is a proven goal scorer for Manchester for in the Premier League. So, but I don't think that is any legs on that story, to be honest with you, mate. I really don't. And, I was reading the story funny enough, about Rodrigo yesterday. And I was thinking, come on, man. Can you see Man United signing Rodrigo? Really? Man United can't get Mbeumo through the door at the moment, and he's an attacking midfielder, a bit like what Rodrigo is. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Big up, Albie. What's going on, you legend? Hope you're doing well. Let's hope United go and get goalkeeper now. Look, you know what? I was speaking in depth about it yesterday, about Man United, what they should do in regards to the goalkeeper situation. So, I'm going to bring this in right now. So, the goalkeeper situation, obviously, Onana is out for 6 to 8 weeks, potentially. There is rumours that he's done very well in responding to his training and responding to his treatment. So, you know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. In my opinion, it is a blessing in disguise. I don't like saying these things. I don't like, saying a player being injured is a blessing. I don't like saying that. Okay, but in this unique situation, guys, I think it's best if Onana sits out for a little bit. Give someone else a chance. And we've been saying this for a while. My only concern is this. I don't want us to give a chance to Eaton, and I don't want us to give a chance to Bayindir, because I don't think that these goalkeepers are good enough. I don't. So I personally believe that Man United could either give a chance to Vitek when he comes back, or buy a new goalkeeper. And one of those goalkeepers is John Victor. Now, guys, lo and behold, right, we mentioned John Victor on Stretford Post weeks ago, right? Now, other journalists and other outlets are reporting it now. You see, John Victor. And the reason John Victor is an interesting shout, because John Victor is actually about 6 million euros, 6 to 8 million euros Man United could possibly pick him up for. So that's nothing, isn't it, at the end of the day? So why don't we just go after that? Take the risk, you know what I mean? Because the problem is relying on Vitek. I mean, I want to give Vitek some chances in this preseason. Hopefully he gets some chances. Hopefully he gets some game time. But relying on Vitek, is a risk. It represents a risk. It represents it's unfair on him, to be honest with you, because the pressure that will be on him will be quite enormous. But then again, you never know in football. He might come out, he might take his chance. I felt that when Kova was at Man United, I felt he took his chance, and we ended up selling him and bringing in Onana, which absolutely ridiculous, wasn't it, at the end of the day? So I would say that, yeah, Vitek for me, but also buy a goalkeeper. I would try and sell Bayindir. I don't think Bayindir is quite up to the standard, sadly. I like the guy, but I don't think he's up to standard. And I think eventually we need to try and sell Onana as well. And as I said earlier in this window, I said that Man United will probably do deals for goalkeepers, but the goalkeeper situation won't be resolved until August, around August time. So, yeah, look, what I would say is that, yeah, Man United need a new goalkeeper. Man United needed a new goalkeeper anyway, most of us would say, isn't it? But we definitely need a new goalkeeper now, and also to rotate with Vitek. Obviously, we got the friendly games this month against Leeds United, another Premier League team. So we got those friendly games. We could play Vitek. Here it goes. I just don't want to see Heaton, guys. I don't want to see Heaton. Heaton is not that good. And let me tell you that right now. If anyone remembers the last preseason, about a year ago, right, and when we were playing in the preseason, do you remember the mistakes that Heaton made? Just simple mistakes, simple errors. The guy's not the guy. He's not that guy. He's not the goalkeeper to take us forward. Man United needs someone who's going to be in between the sticks for a longer period of time, a more consistent period of time. Of course, absolutely. Press that. Don't panic. Big up, Dabizaz. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Sal. Good morning, Randy. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is blessed. Albie, good morning. Good morning. Dan, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. How many times did we hear it is close, it's close, it's close? Dan, because it is close. It is close. At the end of the day, it's close. I mean, I could be next to this cupboard right here, right? And I could remain next to this cupboard. Doesn't mean I'm in the cupboard. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm in there. Because if I was in the cupboard, I'd be coming out of the closet, won't I? At the end of the day. But I'm close to this cupboard, right? I'm close to this wardrobe. So if I'm close to this wardrobe, doesn't mean that I'm touching the wardrobe. So I am still close to the wardrobe, guys. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I would say is this: we are close, and that's it. Have we moved any further? Are we negotiating? What I've said, and I've said it many times before, these media outlets were talking about it before. What I said about Mbeumo is that we will get this deal done. I wouldn't be surprised if this deal was done whilst the replica kit is being released. So the new kit coming out, even though the nice black kit was coming out, the new kit's being released. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes through the door whilst that kit is being released. That would be a typical Glazonomic sort of thing to do, wouldn't it? Absolutely, guys. Yeah. So yeah, it is frustrating. I know everyone's frustrated. I know that everyone is getting a little bit annoyed by it. I'm getting annoyed by it. I'm fed up with it. I want to move on from it. I want it to be through the door. I've said it all along. He will play for Manchester United next season. That's the most important thing. Now, my only concern is this, right? And I've said this loads of times now, is that I don't mind them taking their time if they want to take their time. It's not ideal, but I don't want them to take their time. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, what concerns me is that I want them to do 2 deals at once, 3 deals at once. I want them to be working on something else whilst they're working on Mbeumo. Whilst they're working on Mbeumo, we can work on something else. You know what I mean? And we've been very incapable of doing this over the years. Of been working on 2 deals at a time. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's concerning me, to be honest with you, because we're taking so long to do this. How long are we going to take to do sign a striker? How long are we going to take to sign a midfielder and a goalkeeper? And that is the biggest concern for me. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. It is only July still, of course. What is the date today? It is July the 13th today. So you know what? There is time for this to materialize. There is time for transfers to come in. So I wouldn't be too concerned yet, but I think people have every right to be worried, right? They do have every right to be worried because of the past, what's been going on over the past, isn't it? Over the past, it's been, we haven't been reassured. We haven't had anything to give us any enthusiasm and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Big up everyone. Ephraim, how you doing? Sal, I do not trust Onana. He will to take medicine to play. Oh, goodness me. Did you remember when there was the game against Newport County? And I think Onana got injured, and I think Bayinda was playing in goal eventually. But there are rumours that Onana was going to come to the game. He was going to arrive at the game, and he's going to play the game. He's going to get himself fit. That guy just needs to sit it out, mate. I honestly think that Onana needs to sit the game out. Just sit down, bruv. Sit down. Don't give someone else a chance, and that's it. I personally believe. You know what I think? I think that Onana's very insecure. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that Onana's afraid that if someone comes in and takes his place, i.e. VTech or something like that, someone of that ilk, and absolutely smashes it, right? He's going to lose his place. And I think Onana's worried about that. I don't actually think Onana believes in his own ability. I don't. I think Onana's a confident guy. I think he's a happy guy. He's a positive guy. But I don't think he believes in his ability truly. I think that's a front. I really think that, and I think that's a bad trait to have. I think that he doesn't want to give anyone a chance because I don't want to lose my place. He knows that he's made mistakes. And the biggest problem with me in regards to Onana, and especially last season, right, is that whenever we make a mistake, it's almost like he'll start doing these socks. He'll start doing these socks like this, and then he won't take accountability. He won't come out and take accountability. He won't come out and say, you know what, I was wrong. I made a mistake and I'm sorry, I let my team down. I apologize. I've never seen that from Onana. And that's the biggest concern for me, to be honest with you. And I want to see a goalkeeper taking responsibility. I don't think he does. I think we have a blame culture at Manchester United. And I think that blame culture was pretty evident last season, even with our captain. People blaming him. We got to blame ourselves as a unit. As a unit, as a team, we're not there, guys. Because when I bring it back to the great Manchester United teams of the past, the successful teams of Man United in the past, Man United of the 90s and stuff like that, the common demeanour here, the common theme was that we were always a team. We were not necessarily the best individuals. You honestly think that John O'Shea and Wes Brown and, these type of players, even Tom Cleverley at the time and Anderson, and these were the best players in Europe? No, they weren't. But they knew how to play as a team. They knew how to collaborate as a team. This unit don't. They don't know how to collaborate as a team. They don't know how to play as a unit. And that's what I would say about that. Absolutely. Let's read some of your comments, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Big up, Marky Mark. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. I'm very well, thank you. I feel the same way. I feel they feel this is a big week. Maybe this is an Onana injury and is a blessing in disguise. I hope so, Marky Mark. And I want to take the positives. Obviously, it's not very nice talking about a player's injured and we're celebrating, but this is really desperate now because at the end of the day, Onana's not a good goalkeeper. We have to be honest with ourselves because I always think on the basis that I'm thinking of Manchester United Football Club. I hope the human being is fine. I hope he's well. I hope he gets better. But I want what's best for Manchester United Football Club. And what's best for Manchester United Football Club is not having Onana between the sticks. That's true, right? And he's not the only problem. There's many problems in that football team. Right, there are many problems. Obviously, there's a striker situation that we need to get resolved. I'm seeing a lot of training videos over this last week. I've seen more training videos than watching a bloody Dwayne Johnson documentary. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's so many training videos going out there at the moment. I'll look at Rasmus kicking the ball in the net, in an empty net. Why don't you get me? I'll kick a ball in an empty net for you if you want me to do that. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, what do you want them to do? Do you want them just to be sitting there on the training field? Just waiting for the game to start. Don't really want to train. You know what I mean? Do you want them to do that? I miss the days. I miss the days when footballers used to just train and you didn't really used to hear about it. I miss the days when Beckham and Cantona used to stay on behind in training and they didn't used to promote it like a PR campaign. I miss those days. You know what I mean? Training is part of your job. That is exactly what it is. I don't really care. Like yesterday, they were talking about Ahmad. Look at Ahmad, he's back in training. Oh my God, what do you want him to do? He's contracted to Man United. What do you want him to do? Do you want him just to say? Do you want him to say, no, I'm not coming to training today? You know what I mean? Come, where are our standards, guys? Where are our standards? I don't care if he's walking into training like a boss. I don't care. What I care about is he's walking into that first game of the season like a boss against Arsenal. Because if we lose that game against Arsenal, guys, we are in a huge mess. Because you know what? We're going to play Fulham away. Burnley ain't no mugs. Then we're going to have to play, obviously, Man City and Chelsea. You know what I mean? And Liverpool in the opening 10 games, guys. So we got to make sure that we set the world alight in the first game of the season. I know. We've beaten Arsenal before. We've had these type of games before. Even under Eric Ten Hag, we played Arsenal early. Do you remember? We beat them at Old Trafford when Anthony scored on his debut. We can, but it doesn't mean that we go in there and we lose. We have to go out there and win because we're not going to get many 3 points. You know what I mean? If we lose that game against Arsenal, there's only so many games in the Premier League. We have to try and get some inkling of confidence. Do you know what I mean? Good morning, Steve. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. Good morning, Dabizas. I think Rodrigo links are hoax. They're hoax, mate. Dabizas, look, what I want people to be careful of, and look, I'm going to find out more about this news over the next coming few hours, but what I want people to be careful of is that there are a lot of media outlets out there who either clickbaits or they are trying to get a bigger contract for Rodrigo. For example, Rodrigo wants to stay at Real Madrid. This is a fact, right? Rodrigo wants to stay at Real Madrid. Let me tell you that right now, right? But how's he going to get a contract at Real Madrid? How's he going to force a contract at Real Madrid? Or how is he going to get other teams to be interested in him? And how is he going to get his name up in lights in regards to the transfer window? So people look, Rodrigo, he's available. You know what I mean? Use Manchester United's name. Use Man United because we're a pawn in in this transfer window. We're always a pawn. We're always the team that people turn to use to try and gain financial elevation. Do you know what I mean? That's what Man United are, basically, in the transfer window. If we're good at anything, it's being the pawn for other football teams and other players. You know what I mean? That's what we are. Oh, you know what? Link them to Man United. We'll get a lot of buzz, social media, blah, 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 stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? This is what Man United do. And this is what Man United are. Unfortunately, this is how we are. Sadly as it is that, we have to be subjected to manipulation. And, it's annoying, but I would hope that many Man United fans don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Man United, look realistically, guys. Man United, if they sign Mbeumo, which they're likely to do, Man United won't need Rodrigo. And that is it. It'd be lovely to have Rodrigo. It would be lovely if we could have Mbeumo and Rodrigo. I just don't think Man United are going to buy another attacking midfielder. I think if anything, they're going to buy a striker after Mbeumo, and then after Mbeumo, they're going to go midfield and goalkeeper. I think that's what they're going to do. And guys, I want to bring this into the channel really quickly, and I want to say this really, really sincerely. Diego Dalot, Okay, Diego Dalot took the number 2 jersey. The reason Diego took the number 2 jersey is because he wanted to resign the number 20 jersey. Okay, so I believe wasn't he the number 20 jersey? Was Dalot the number 20? So he wanted to retire it because of Diego Jota. This is what I'm hearing, which is why he took the number 2 jersey, guys. Just to let you know. Hope you're good, Coco. Good to see you, mate. Hope everything is blessed. Why would he leave bigger club alone Champions League spots? I mean, at the end of the day, this happens, doesn't it? At the end of the day, David says. I mean, we had Di Maria leave, Real Madrid and stuff like that. Look, you have to look at it for what it is. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic that, man, I'm not going to look at just the Champions League and stuff like that. I'm going to look at things as a whole. I just think it's unrealistic that Man United would go after Rodrigo once they signed Mbeumo. Do you think that would be logical? Would you be happy if Man United signed Rodrigo and Mbeumo and Cunha? When we got midfield we need to fix, when we got the goalkeeper we need to fix, when we got the striker we need to fix. Do you think that would be wise? Do you think that would be smart? And I don't actually rate Rodrigo like some people rate him. Some people rate him like he's world class. I don't. I actually don't think he's as good as people make it out. Big up Dabizaz. Dan, don't forget Onana was playing Wingo on holidays. Yeah, I saw him in the mud huts. I saw him playing in the muds, and he didn't get injured there, did he? I mean, someone has to ask the question, though. Is it Dan? Dan, you know what I mean? Someone has to ask the question that how are these players allowed to play in that condition? This is a risk. I was thinking the same when I saw the videos of him playing with his mates. That's great. Have a little kick about with your mates. That's great. Fine. But you've got to look after yourself. You are a contracted employee of Manchester United, right? You are like basically a car, right? So basically, if I had a Ferrari, if I was the McLaren, and I had the McLaren car right there, I was McLaren. And I thought, I really want to take this car for a spin, right? I'm going to take this car for a spin. So I take the McLaren car, right? And I take it for a spin around London, right? And then that same car has to race the next day, okay? So if I did that, people would be thinking, what an absolute idiot. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you, you're going to break it. It's going to be, the engine, the wheels. And what about you going over humps and all that business? This is exactly the same with a footballer. What are you doing, mate? Sit on the bed, the sunbed. You're rich enough. Sit on the sunbed and put your bloody feet up. That's what he should have done. Not going out there in bloody playing football with his mates in the mud. And on the best of us, and on the best of occasions, you're going to get injured. It's bad, isn't it? Big up Lee, what's going on, my friend? All bollocks, not incompetent, controlled demolition. Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well, Lee. Coco, no chance with Rodrigo. Wouldn't even make sense for absolutely. We know what we need. Mbeumo and midfielder, goalkeeper, and a striker. Let's keep it simple and already hard enough. Exactly, Coco. This is exactly what it is. And that's logic, isn't it? That's logic. That's what we're talking about here, isn't it? It's logical. Why would we go out and sign Rodrigo when we've already got Mbeumo and Cunha? It doesn't quite make sense, does it? And, people just make up any stories now. I don't know where the stories come from, to be honest with you. I don't know why they come out of the woodwork and stuff like that. But I wouldn't entertain it. I looked at it and I thought, yeah, for goodness sake, come on, man. Be real here. I was like that yesterday, and today. I was like, there's no way Man United are going to go after Rodrigo. If Man United, if a miracle happened and Man United went after Rodrigo, I'd be absolutely pissed off because I think that Man United need a goalkeeper, we need a striker, we need a midfielder, we need a wing back, and I'd be like, that's absolutely incompetence of the highest order. That's what I would be like. And you know what? I like Rodrigo, but you know what? That is the wrong signing for Man United at the moment. That's like a luxury signing. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, we need other parts of the pitch before we could buy Rodrigo. Rodrigo's about 80, 90 million, so it's ridiculous. Ephraim, what's going on? Sal, it's amazing we sign players when they kick release. Criminals, absolute disgrace. And one thing I need people to remember this, right? I want people to remember this, is that if we do get Mbeumo through the door whilst the kit release is being launched, just think about how they've dragged this transfer on to this moment. That will make it pretty obvious that they've dragged this transfer on to this moment because of the kit release. Do you know what I mean? And that is disgraceful, guys. That is disgraceful. And that is Glazonomics for you. And this is the kind of thing that we've done for ages. We would rather waste 2 months of the transfer window and so that we can release a kit and a player, you know what I mean, at the same time. Now, I'm not saying that's the gospel. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is looking like that. I hear in various other outlets as well, talking about Mbeumo deal should be done next week, by the end of next week. By the end of next week, that's exactly what we're talking about, the kit release, isn't it, at the end of the day? So I was thinking about that. I said, yeah, well, we kind of predicted this on Stretford Post a long time ago, and this is going to happen, And what I would say is that Man United have got a habit of dragging transfers out, stretching the transfers as far as they can possibly stretch them, so that when it gets closer to the end of the transfer window, they got little time to do other deals, which means they don't have to spend money. And that's what I'm thinking. And these are the sinister thoughts that you get when you support this football team, because they do it all the time, and they try to pull wool over your eyes in regards to everything. It's crazy at the end of the day. Guys, don't forget to smash a like, please, you legends. Thank you. Another host was Chichamini links. I mean, Dabizas, we've been through the mud. Dabizas, look, we've been through a lot of transfers. We've been through a lot of players that have been linked with us. I've seen players linked from Kingdom Come. Ever since I was a child, people have linked to Man United to certain players. Even the days when we didn't have social media, when we were linked to Patrick Kluivert and Gabriel Batistuta, and even Celio Silva, Brazil, and people like that, you know what I mean? And we didn't have, even social media then, but yet people used to link us to certain players. Remember Ronaldinho, the famous one. It's not funny though. It's funny though, because I look back at it and I think, imagine we signed Ronaldinho, we wouldn't have got Cristiano Ronaldo. You know what I mean? It just is funny. It's the sliding doors effect, isn't it? Good morning, GK. Hope you're doing well. Hope we bring in Victor John soon. Big up. John Victor would be a good backup goalkeeper. No, at the end of the day, people were saying, look, obviously football is very subjective. People can have their opinions about football, but people were obviously talking about Victor John yesterday, talking about how he parries the ball out and stuff. We don't want a goalkeeper who parries the ball straight at the opposition. We've had Onana to do that. He's world class at that, parrying the ball to the opposition. So what we need is a goalkeeper who's competent, controlling, can control the box, can create a calmness around the defense, like an ease and a sense of reliability, because we've got eyes, guys. We've got eyes. We know that these players don't trust Onana. We know that they don't. They've second-guessed him loads of times and kicked the ball out into touch rather than him grabbing it with his arms. We've seen that many. Do you remember the Maguire situation? Can't remember the game. I think it was Wolves or something. The ball was going towards Onana, and Maguire just kicked it out into touch. He couldn't trust Onana to get that ball. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Ephraim, Sal, do you agree with Rio comments about Madueke? I didn't really read what Rio has to say, because Rio's just a social media guy and he's all for clicks and stuff like that. I love Rio Ferdinand as a footballer. You know what I mean? Absolutely adored him as a footballer. I think he's one of the greatest defenders of all time. But, I wouldn't take too much in what Rio Ferdinand says, at the end of the day. I wouldn't take it for gospel. Rio Ferdinand doesn't really have football intelligence. I mean, there's a lot of footballers out there. Let me give you an example, right? There's lots of footballers out there who've played football, and people think just because they played football that they know more than everyone else, which is absolutely far off the mark. Most managers who became managers weren't great footballers. Do you know what I mean? So I would take it with a pinch of salt, everything he says. Look, at the end of the day, there was a big uproar in regards to Madueke signing for Arsenal. Arsenal fans are very, very annoyed. And I understand where they're coming from. And the reason I understand where they're coming from is because they don't rate Madueke. Now, why would Chelsea sell to Arsenal? This is what we have to understand. Again, we need to be wary of this. Like when we purchased Mason Mount, we've been there, guys. So basically, Madueke is their Mason Mount. That's what I'm saying. Madueke is Arsenal's Mason Mount. And they pay 50 million for him. We paid 50 million for Mason Mount. Why would Chelsea want to sell Madueke to Arsenal? A rival for the Champions League spots and whatever. Why would they want to do that? And you have to look at that very, very carefully. And not only do that, but do it easily. Not put up a fight like Mbeumo. For example, Mbeumo for Brentford. Look how hard Brentford are fighting for Mbeumo. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they just let him go. A bit like with Onana, with Inter Milan. Inter Milan just let him go. They didn't fight, did they? Oh, yeah, take him. Do you know what I mean? So that is very interesting to me. And I think we've got to look between the lines, read between the lines, and you've got to be a little bit more clever in regard and astute in regards to your judgment of the way these transfers are done. I don't think Arsenal need Madueke. I know that, but they're going to end up playing Madueke on the left. They're going to play Madueke on the left, and they're going to play Saka on the right. And this is what I think they're going to do. And I don't think they need him. And when you're thinking about Arsenal, I understand Arsenal in their situation. They need a striker. But then again, the thing is, right, the argument is, if they get Madueke in for the squad, for example, they bought him for the squad, okay? All right, great. But why they're not going to put a £50 million player on the bench, are they really? You know, this is the thing. If they bought him for 10, 15, 20 million, and you know what, and they said, right, he's a squad player, that's good, right? And I don't want to talk about Arsenal too much, but I want to give you an example. So if they use him as squad, then that's great. If they bought Yokeres, if they bought Rodrigo, if they bought Eze, if they bought all those players and then they got Madueke as a backup, then you have to say, well, fair play, that's good. But their window, they can't complain, they can't moan, because at the end of the day, you could be Man United right now, because Man United are the ones who came 15th. Man United are the ones who need players. You know what I mean? And we got nobody. So I don't. I mean, obviously they're being a bit snobby, Arsenal fans, but I get where they're coming from. I get that they don't feel that they need Madueke, but I wouldn't look at Rio Ferdinand and take every word for obviously God's gospel. I mean, you look at the people that Rio Ferdinand backs and supports. Do you know what I mean? And he supports a lot of bad people, you know what I mean, which including obviously Stephen Howson and people like that who are openly being bigots on their streams and stuff like that. And you know, I don't agree with that. I mean, they can come to me and talk to me and explain it to me what they meant, but I've seen the videos and I've seen everything, and I don't think they should be supported. You know what I mean? And Rio Ferdinand doesn't make a lot of wise decisions, in my opinion. Absolutely. Benza, good morning, my friend Sal. Hope you had a good night's sleep. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, mate. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Absolutely. Look, I've got something. 1 second. Look, don't forget to click the likes, guys. You see this? Don't forget to click the likes. This is an old school like button. This is the like button from 10 BC or something like that. There you go. This is the old school like, the original like button, guys. This is it. So don't forget to click a like. Absolutely. Click a like, click a like, click a like. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. You absolute legends. Don't forget to do that. So guys, there you go, guys. We got it all on this channel, guys. We absolutely got it all. You know what I mean? Look, I've got another thing for you. Guys, I've got the new signing of Manchester United. It's right here. This is the new signing of Man United. Hello. Thank you for joining Manchester United Football Club. There you go, guys. Absolutely. This is the closest Man United are going to get to a signing. This is what it is at the moment, guys, at the end of the day. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is absolutely. There we go, guys. Absolutely. We're gonna sign someone someday, guys. Don't worry about that. But let me put that back. Let me be serious. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be serious now, guys. Yeah, look, you know what? It is very, very frustrating, of course. Right, Randy, I'm scared of Brazilians with British names. You know what I said the other day. I hate to discriminate, but if you're born and you're Brazilian and your name is Victor John, or John Victor, that is the most English name that you could probably have, isn't it? John Victor Drew. Actually, John Victor is crazy, isn't it? I'll be like cursed. You know what I mean? You could have named me anything. Do you know what I mean? Victorino, Jorginho, something like that. Ridiculous, isn't it? Dabizas, Cavalier, Costa, Marcos, Van Lemens. I won't say Costa, but all goalkeepers out there could possibly do it. The Rodrigo links are just all paper talks. Big up Kenny. He'll end up staying at Madrid. It's all paper talks, mate. And it is kind of an elevation sort of thing to try and get him to sign a new contract and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It is a kind of thing like that. But, Man United, in general, Man United fans, Manchester United Football Club, everyone around Man United, journalists and stuff like that, need to stop falling for this nonsense. We need to stop falling for it. And there are people out there, Rodrigo, what about Rodrigo? What do you say about Rodrigo? What do you say about him? We got to be very careful in regards to this, because they're using Manchester United. Let me tell you, they're using Man United to get elevation for their player. That's what they're doing. They're using us, guys. And we have to be careful of that, of course. Absolutely. Randall, good morning, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Sal, let's get rid of the goalkeeper coach. He's not a judge. Isn't Heaton part of the goalkeeping coaching staff now? I know that he's a player still, but isn't he part of the goalkeeping coach as well? And this is what I want to say, because at the end of the day, when I look at Heaton, I think he's not good. I look at him and I think I wouldn't want to be trained by him because he's not that good. Do you know what I mean? So I have to wait and see. A boom announcement said new merch. I said it, Kenny. Guys, don't believe in what anyone else said. I've said it a week ago, mate. Said it a week ago. Now people are jumping on the bandwagon. You see what I mean? I said it a week ago. No one wants to listen to Stretford Post. They want to quote other people, but don't want to quote me. Put the quotes up, Kenny. Start putting the quotes up. Stretford Post mentioned it last week, guys. Start putting the quotes up about Stretford Post, because we were here, Sal Warner, Stretford Post. We were here talking about this sort of situation that Mbeumo is going to sign in the middle of July when the kit gets released. Do you know what I mean? And there we go. Tyro Gunner, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you, mate. Hope you're blessed, of course. Spin United, big up, Randy. Do we do window shop but never buy? Look, at the end of the day, Man United are linked to about 100 players, Randy, and Man United will continue to be linked to more players. You know, this is what happens when you're a big football club, right? We're always going to be linked to players, because whilst we're in this sort of mess that we're in, we're always going to be linked to certain players, and there's always going to be new players coming out. And obviously, we have to speak about these players, obviously, because they are linked to Man United. So we have to get an idea of what direction that we're going into at the moment. We're signing that player, we're signing that player. For example, I do call bullshit when I do see it. For example, the Rodrigo situation. I don't really think that is a thing. But one thing I would say in argument for it is that if Man United sign Rodrigo, we all know why they signed Rodrigo. They signed Rodrigo because of the shirts. That's why they signed Rodrigo. That's if they did that. Is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen. Absolutely not. The Man United cannot afford 80, 90 million anyway. But if they did sign Rodrigo, if the small chance, and as I always said, and I don't flip-flop from this, there's always a chance. Yeah, and if it did happen, you know, because I heard this thing before Di Maria signed for Man United. I remember when the links first started to come out and people were telling us, oh, that's a lie. He's never going to leave Real Madrid to come to Man United, blah, blah, blah. And he did. But what I would say is that if we sign Rodrigo, it will be a shirt seller more than anything else, because we've got Mbeumo, we've got Cunha. Why would we want Rodrigo as well? Come on, guys. Why would we want Rodrigo as well? Absolute nonsense. Good morning, Gray. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're well. Good to see you, mate. Gray, I'm about to send your thing out today. I'm about to send your image out, the picture out today. I've got it ready to send, guys. I just going to go to the courier. Hopefully I'll send it out today. I'll send it out tomorrow. I will get it to you, Grail, very, very soon. Big up, Grail, of course. Thank you so much. Don't forget to smash the like buttons, guys. We're 104 in there. We need to get 100 likes. Come on, guys. Let's push this like buttons up. Thank you very, very much, of course. So do you think there is any big signing? Yeah, Mbeumo is a big signing, mate. Mbeumo is a big signing. I don't think there will be a Rodrigo signing. I think Mbeumo will be a big signing. I think it will be our biggest signing of the summer. And when I look at other things, there are, you know, when we look at the midfield and we look at obviously the goalkeeper situation, it is looking very interesting in regards to Richard Rios as well. I'm hearing a lot of noises about Richard Rios, even here in Italy. You know, I've read an article about Richard Rios, Manchester United, blah, blah, blah. That is very interesting. But Richard Rios is also wanted by Roma. So Roma are interested in Richard Rios. So Man United are interested in Richard Rios. So basically, the news outlets over here in Italy will say that Roma are interested in signing Richard Rios, but face competition from Manchester United. So this is basically what it says over here in Italy. So, you know, Man United need to get a step on. Man United need to get a move on. I said this loads of times, of course, that Man United needs to get a move on when it comes to these transfers, because they're going to end up missing out on certain guys. And I think Richard Rios is one of the players that Man United could possibly get because of his price tag. He'd be interested to come to the Premier League, and he'll be a very good player for Man United. And I don't think Man United should be sleeping, because at the moment it seems like we're sleeping. We're on snooze. We've clicked the snooze button and we forgot to put the snooze button off. It's ridiculous. You know, Man United need to get a move on. Big up my friend Benidre. What's going on, my friend? Benidre Media. I hope you honestly won't shed any tears about Onana injuries. Look, I won't shed any tears. Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not an advocate for promoting injured players and stuff like that, of course. But, you know, we have to be real with ourselves. On this channel, we like to be real. I don't have realist written in my name, because I think that, you know, when people write realist in their name, you know, they're not real. Let me just tell you that. Anyone who feels the need to write real in their chat, in their name, in their YouTube name or anything like that, are not real. Let me tell you that right now. It's a bit like people who put tactical in their name of their channel when they're not very tactical and they don't really have a tactical brain. It's funny, isn't it? They're trying to compensate for someone else. Anyway, look, the Onana thing, it represents a great opportunity for me, my friend Benidre, it gives a great opportunity for VTech to get a chance. For me, I would like to see VTech given a chance. I think he deserves a chance. He's went on loan. He's done very well. We've also got Harrison, of course, the goalkeeper in the youth team. We've got him as well. Why don't we give these guys a chance? Why don't we try something different? Do you know what I mean? The Bayinders and the Heatons are just too obvious, and they're not good. They're not good. They are very average goalkeepers, guys. We might as well think ahead than thinking stopgap. That's what we need to do. Think ahead. Think what Arsenal would do. What would Arsenal do? Would they go out and get 36-year-old goalkeeper and play him between the sticks, or would they just sign a goalkeeper or bring in one of their young goalkeepers? We have to do what we used to do: bring in through players. That's what we need to do, of course. Kenny, I think Amram is going to be relieved from his duties during the mid-season, and it's going to be round and round. I mean, I don't think they're going to sack him. I really don't. I don't think they'll sack him. The biggest problem that Man United will have is the fan base. The fan base will start getting toxic. The fan base will start calling him a Portuguese fraud. What we have to understand, we've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, of course, and Manchester City in the opening 10 games, guys. In the opening 10 games, we've got that. So he could quite possibly lose a few of those games, right? Realistically. So the problem what's going to be, it won't be so much Ineos, it won't be that, it will be the fan base. The fan base will forget the incompetence of Ineos and the Glazers. They will forget that. And that is just a dumb mentality. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and I've mentioned this many, many times, our fan base do not understand Manchester United. There are parts of our fan base, some of them have been fans only about 15 years, some of them 5 years, some of them have only seen success. In regards to, they only supported them because they were successful. And there are fans out there like that, unfortunately. And they only support Man United for vibes. That's why. That's the only reason they support Man United. They don't care about the Busby Babes, Sir Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, George Best. They don't care about anything like that. They care about the vibes. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. And I will prove that to them, because I'll bring them on the channel and I would ask them a couple of questions. And there you go. Guys, you know what I mean? I've been with Man United fans. I told you, I've been with Man United fans, and I've been sitting there talking. Are you a Man United fan? Oh, yeah, I'm a Man United fan. I go, okay, yeah. And then we start talking. And they said, yeah, I was remembering when we lost the league to Blackburn in 1995 and blah, blah, blah. I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm like, what? You don't know when we lost the league to Blackburn in 1995? You don't know the last game of the season when we drew 1-1 with West Ham at Upton Park, and Liverpool beat Blackburn. Liverpool did us a favour and we couldn't beat West Ham. No. I said, what? It's part of our heritage, our history. I wasn't born then. I wasn't born then. It doesn't matter if you're born then. All right? It doesn't matter if you're born then. I can remember when Man United beat, I could talk about Man United in 1968 Champions League final when we beat Benfica 4-1. I could talk about that if you want me to talk about that. I could talk about when we beat Everton 1-0 in the FA Cup final in 1985, even though I was 3 years old. I could talk about that. I could go on and on about games, do you know what I mean? But you have to do your research. There's too many people now who support Man United who are only supporting Man United pure vibes. That's it. Pure vibes, And the problem is, there is, and I will say this, as a person who's traveled the world, right? There are many people overseas who don't know what Man United are. They don't understand what Man United are. They support Man United, but they don't understand the DNA of what Man United are in regards to our historical value. It wasn't always plain sailing. It wasn't always roses and lovey-dovey Care Bears and all that. It wasn't always that, guys. It wasn't always success. It was pain as well, right? And that is a big part of what Man United were. Man United were adversity to the stars. Basically, that's what Man United are. And unfortunately, people don't understand that. They're on vibes. Even when Eric Ten Hag was around, I said, sacking Eric Ten Hag won't be the answer to a problem that is up top, right? And what happened? It's not the answer, is it? It wasn't the answer. It isn't the answer. You can keep blaming Eric Ten Hag. They can keep blaming Eric Ten Hag about the signings he made and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But we could have signed anyone. It doesn't matter. The same culture is at this football club. Now, people say, well, why do you support it? Why do you still watch it? Because I have a feeling about Ruben Amorim. That Ruben Amorim has got something in him that can separate the football team from the ownership. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I hope, and I like the guy. I think he's a fantastic manager. I've seen great attributes in regards to him. And I think the problem is that once he loses a couple of games next season, people are going to get on his back. And they're going to forget about this window. They're going to forget about the incompetence. And that is my biggest concern and worry in regards to that. Hopefully, Ineos stays strong. Hopefully, they don't sack him, because this is their fault at the end of the day, APN, good morning. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good afternoon, everybody. Wish United can Gassan and Mbeumo Victor very soon. Big up, APN. Hope you're doing well. Manchester United celebrating injury of a goalkeeper. I mean, I don't think people are celebrating. I think this represents a great opportunity for another goalkeeper. That's all I would say. I don't think it's really wise to celebrate injuries. I don't think that's nice. We're a very classy fan base, as I said. Again, I say it again that Manchester United understand who Manchester United are. We are different to everyone else. We're a different football club. We're not Arsenal. You know what I mean? We're Manchester United at the end of the day. So that doesn't change. And the way we act, it always should be classy. Because at the end of the day, Onana doesn't want Man United to lose. Onana wants to win with Manchester United, right? Unfortunately, he doesn't have the facilities to win with Manchester United in regards to his talent. He doesn't. So what I would say is that the injury to Onana is unfortunate, but it represents a good opportunity for the likes of Vitek to come in and prove himself. That is how football is. How did Rashford become a footballer at Man United? How did he get his opportunity? He got his opportunity because Martial and Wilson were injured at the time, didn't he? But we didn't celebrate the injuries to Martial and Wilson, but it did represent a good opportunity for Marcus Rashford. And Marcus Rashford grabbed it with both hands at the time, didn't it? So that could happen. It could be a blessing in disguise, of course. It's not so much celebrating. I don't think anyone's celebrating, Randy. I think if we lose to Arsenal, they will buy panic buys. I hope not, Ephraim. I hope not. Losing to Arsenal. I don't even want to envision losing to Arsenal in the open game of the season. That would just be awful, guys. Can you imagine what a bad start that would be? Kenny, we embarrassing. Speak for yourself, Randy. Is it possible Onana's try too hard to lose weight? You see teammates look lean. That's why he's running so much and got a hamstring injury. No. I think what has happened, Hesty, I think that he's been training on the mud. If you've seen the videos, he's been playing around with his mates on the parks and stuff like that, and hasn't really rested his body. Now, anyone who's done football, who played football, or done any athletics of any kind, I've run marathons, guys, so I know I've done a lot of marathons in my time. I still run 5K. Even at my age, my advanced age, I still run 5K. Even after this, I'm going for a run in Naples, guys. So, what I would say is that, when you play football, you need all season, you need a rest. You need to give your body a rest. And he hasn't given his body a rest. I've seen him playing in the parks and things like that. And you're giving the pitch as well, the mud. It's bad for your muscles. You've got to be very careful. And when you go on that environment and then you go on to another environment like that and then you start doing that again, it's going to mess up your muscles, guys, absolutely. But you only get a hamstring injury as a goalkeeper if you don't stretch. If you're not stretching properly, that's how you get a hamstring injury. You have to stretch properly. He hasn't stretched. Now, I bring it back to Jadon Sancho a year ago when Jadon Sancho was doing those half-hearted push-ups, right? And I posted a picture about it. And I told you, devil in the details, right? And, I said, it's the little margins that count. It's the little margins that represent what you become. You know what I mean? And I feel like these little margins that Man United are neglecting. And I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't stretch properly. And that's how it happened. Big up, Benny. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Ephraim, special lights. Thank you so much, Ephraim, you legend. Good morning. How you doing, Ellen? How you doing? Good to see you, mate. Hope everything's blessed. And maybe a dressing in disguise is Onana. Big up, my friend, Beef Bully. Hope you're doing well, of course. Onana playing in muddy ground as a striker is crazy. This dude has no clue, and he was going super hard as well. If you're going to play the goalkeeper, freaking striker. Coco, exactly, mate. People want to downplay this, but this is incompetence, isn't it, mate? This is incompetence. You can't look. I know that it's only a bit of fun. I know we're not party poopers here. We know that, but we understand about top level football. You would not see Modric of Real Madrid, who now of AC Milan, playing in parks, playing on the mud. You wouldn't see Schmeichel doing that. You wouldn't see Schmeichel. You wouldn't see Van der Sar. You wouldn't see David De Gea doing that. Because at the end of the day, they know that they're the goalkeeper of Manchester United. They're not a striker. And they could easily get injured. And what has happened? He's got injured, hasn't he? Is Onana faking injury so he can't be sold? Good point, Garen. That's another spin on it. I wouldn't be surprised in this environment, Darren. No, I wouldn't be surprised that the way Man United are. I wouldn't be surprised if they feign injury and things like that. Do you know what I mean? That wouldn't be a surprise to me. It wouldn't be something new, of course. Big up, man. Milton. The Onana injury is unfortunate, but for pressure for it makes you wonder how quickly these going to turn. And one thing I would say on the professional side of things, Milton, is that, this is how football can change. This is why Manchester United need to absolutely be ruthless in this transfer window. This is why Man United need to bring in players, because it just takes a second for a player to get injured. We all remember when Euro signed for Man United last season. Remember when Lenny Euro signed for Man United last season, and then was it the first preseason game he got injured and he was out for weeks? Do you remember that? These things can happen. That's why you've got to be so careful. And I'm a little bit wary of the American fake pitches and things like that, AstroTurf sort of pitches. I'm very wary of that. I think this is the problem that we always have when you go to America. They're not playing on proper grass and stuff like that. This is why we always keep picking up these injuries. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's something that we need to look at. Maybe in the future we need to look at going to America and stuff like that. Maybe affects, the hamstring and stuff like that, because it does. Have you ever played on a fake pitch? It's difficult. Onana is a striker, Sal. He's not a goalkeeper. He was playing out of position all this time. I mean, I thought he was a striker all season, Kenny. I don't know what you're talking about. I thought he was always been a striker. We need goalkeeper who can command things happening in the box, organise defence and lead it. This is exactly their possess. It's spot on. This is exactly kind of keeper that Man United need. Man United have thrived with this type of goalkeeper. Goalkeepers that are domineering, that can come for crosses and catch the ball, take the stress off the defence. That's what a goalkeeper should do. At the moment, what Onana is, if you ever want to be stressed, right? If you want to stress someone out, just play in defence with Onana behind you. You know what I mean? Just play in defence. If you want to be stressed out, play in defence with Onana behind you, because he does stress you out. And look, I don't want anyone to sugarcoat it. He does create indecisiveness. He does create anxiety. That is him. And he's not going to change from that. He's not going to get better at the late 20s. He's not going to get better, is he? He's going to carry on being indecisive. He's going to carry on creating anxiety and things like that. Big up, Amaru. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, of course. Basically, a wall that will make even the most seasoned wall forwards cry. I mean, look, people look at Onana, right, and they think we're being cruel. But I look at the mistakes, and a lot of these mistakes were not highlighted last season. They were not put on the index, because I look at some of the goals that he conceded. The goals where he's standing on this side of the goal, right? He's all the way on this side of the goal, right? And he's left this side wide open, so someone could just bend it in the corner. That doesn't get counted as a mistake, but it's a mistake. Right, his positional sense, he's flat-footed. He doesn't move off his line like this. He's not quick. He's not agile. The goal against Tottenham, any goalkeeper in the Premier League would have saved that goal against Tottenham. Any goalkeeper would have got down and saved it. He went down like a sloth. Now, we are not a charity at Manchester United. This is what we have to remember. We are not a charity, guys. We cannot keep, thinking, no, don't be like that to him. The guy's earning 300 grand a week. Do you think ignore him? We're thinking about what's going on Man United. How much did we suffer last season? What about us? How much did we suffer last season as Man United fan base? How much did we have to worry about Onana kicking the ball at the opposition and stuff like that? And not only him. And I'm not picking on him. I'm not one of those guys who pick on one player, because it weren't just him. There were loads of players around the squad who were doing the similar things, right? In a different way, in a different position, Arsenal paid 100 million for Chelsea players. Chelsea, I don't know whether Chelsea are owned by the cartel, Amaral. I don't know, but they really, really do business very astutely. They sell players that have never played for the club for 30 odd million. I want to know what is going on there. Basically, what Arsenal have done, Chelsea got fined from FFP PSR. They broke the financial rules, right? And Arsenal basically paid off that for them. I don't know how they do it. We can't even sell Garnacho, who's had 100 games for Man United, won the Puskas Award, won the Copa America, and we can't sell him for more than 45. What's going on? Big up, John. What's going on? Is Onana faking injury not to get a transfer? John O'Connor, what I would say is that if I felt Onana, at the end of the day, not felt Onana, I wouldn't want to feel Onana, of course. But if I was Onana and I knew, I would, but I wouldn't put it past I wouldn't put it past anyone. I wouldn't put it past anyone in this football club to feign injury during the pre-season, because this has happened before, hasn't it? This kind of thing has happened before. Injuries at pre-season. How convenient, how ironic that players get injuries. It's like, I remember seeing Lindelof with a neck brace. You remember? It's like that. You know, have you ever seen that film, Anger Management? And Jack Nicholson, he's basically a anger manager to Adam Sandler. And basically, Adam Sandler gets mad and and then Jack Nicholson fakes a broken neck. And then when he walks out of the courtroom, he takes off the neck brace and he goes like this. Ah, that is Man United. When the preseason ends, when the transfer window ends, they take off that neck brace and they're like this. Ah, yeah, I'm ready to go, guys. Do you know what I mean? This is what they're like. This is Man United. Do you know what I mean? And to a T. You know, so I wouldn't put it past anything to be truthful. You know, that he might be thinking, I don't want to leave Man United. It's quite obvious Onana doesn't want to leave Man United. That is quite obviously a fact, isn't it? So he might be doing that, of course. Glazers have to be arrested for what they did to our club. I mean, what I would say, Ephraim, what the Glazers did, the buyout that the Glazers did, the leveraged buyout that Glazers did back in 2005 is now illegal. Okay, so what I want to understand right, is why can't there be retrospective action in regards to the purchase of Manchester United? Why can't they go back to 2005 and say you didn't buy the club, fairly, so you're gonna have to give up the football club or pay this amount of money? You know what I mean? Why don't they do that to the Glazers? Why can't they do that? Because we know. You know, if they were Russian or if they were someone else, they'd be turning back retrospective and stuff like that and going back and all that. You know what I mean? We know that. So why don't they do that? If someone committed a crime in 2003, right? And it's 2025 now. But back then we didn't have the technology to have the DNA and stuff like that. But now we do. And we managed to get the DNA. And we knew who the criminal was. Are we leaving it? Are we going to leave it? Are we going to say, you know what? It was all the way. It's 22 years ago. Does it really matter? Forget it. Forget about it. They're not going to do that, are they? They're going to go all the way back and charge that person for the crime. Right? People get thrown in prison for life 30 years later. You know, at the end of the day, this is what the Glazers need. We need a retrospective action for what happened in 2005 because that was dodgy as hell. That was dodgy as hell. What the Glazers did when they bought this football club, that was dodgy as hell. So where's a retrospective action for what happened in 2005? So they could say, well, the Glazers purchased the club in 2005 illegally. So why can't we have retrospective action now? To the Glazers, saying the Glazers, you no longer own the football club because when you purchased the football club, you purchased it illegally. But they won't do that, will they? They won't do that because it's Manchester United and we don't want a successful Man United. We want the Glazers in charge. Man United have made English football to what it is now. They made English football. You know, Man United, out of all the teams in the world, I know there's a hatred around Man United, but without Man United, English football wouldn't be what it is today. I want people to remember where English football was in 1992. Okay, I want people to remember who banned English clubs for 8 years in Europe and where English football was going with hooliganism and stuff like that. I want to know, who changed the course of history in English football? Who started putting reputation back to English football? Who started building up the reputation of English football again? Manchester United. Who started showing pride in Europe again in the biggest competition in the Champions League? Manchester United. Now, again, just like we were in the 50s, we are the pioneers. We are the pioneers, and everyone follows. And then they use what we did, sacrificing ourselves for their elevation. There would be no Chelsea ownership, billionaire owners, Saudi owners, Qatar owners, Abu Dhabi owners, if it weren't for Manchester United. Let me just tell you that right now. And I will repeat that until I'm blue in the face. I repeat that because English football, back in the 90s, I know it. I've been watching football now for nearly 40 years. It was in the mud. In the mud. Maduiga start on the left wing, yeah. Dabby says, if Chelsea beats PSG, all hell will break loose in the transfer market. Don't be surprised if Chelsea stink out the place and do a 1-0, guys. Don't be surprised at that. Chelsea are not Real Madrid, right? What Chelsea do, they do it very well. And I have to applaud them for that. They will play PSG, and PSG won't know nothing like it. And I'm telling you this right now. Remember this, guys. PSG won't know anything about it. And I'll tell you why. Because this Chelsea team, they could stink out a 1-0. Right? They could do that. They really could. And don't be surprised if that happens. I'm saying 2-1 to PSG. I'm saying 2-1 or 3-1 to PSG. But don't be surprised if Chelsea do something. Do you know what I mean? And make something happen. Of course, guys. Absolutely. Goalkeeper must be commanding and safe. Who was a sync with the defence. Absolutely, Milton. Spot on. And Madrid said in an interview he decides to join Arsenal to win trophies. Oh, my God. He'd be waiting. I mean, yeah, well, he's going to be waiting a very long time. I mean, Chelsea are going to win one maybe tonight. I think he's saying the Emirates Cup. Oh, yeah, fair play. Fair play. Max Headroom would be a great signing. Oh, that's Max Headroom. We signed Max Headroom, guys. Let me bring Max back to the show. So basically, I'm trying to build the perfect transfer. So we got a head and we got a foot. So basically, we got a head and a foot, right? A head and a foot. So basically, we need a torso, don't we? So we can make our own player, and we can play us to sign for Man United. There we go. That's what we need. It might be a little bit static, but then again, we've had a Christmas tree up front all season anyway. We've had a statue up front all season anyway, so this won't make any difference, would it? You know, here's a foot and here's a head. And listen, we're almost there, guys. People think we're crazy. Man United fans are going crazy. Look at Man United fans; they're going crazy. I have to be careful. Those sculptures, they're quite expensive, so I have to be very, very careful. Milton. John Victorino. There we go. That's better, isn't it? And used to be a Mexican player. Big up British Bulldog. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Big up Revo 7. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Are United signing Victor Melchior? I don't believe it. Yeah. Big Man United fan, by the way, Revo 7. Bumped into him a couple of times at Old Trafford. Used to be a season ticket holder. Good morning, Revert 7. Hope you're doing well. Guys, thank you for joining me today. It has been a pleasure, as usual. You're absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also, please don't forget to smash a like on the video if you guys can do that, guys. Stretford post bomber. There we go, mate. We got the head and the foot, Kenny. We just need the rest. We're going to fight. We're going to build our own striker. That's what we're going to do. Big up, everyone. Have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. You're absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe and smash a like. And also, don't forget to put your notifications on, because it is that time of year, isn't it, where anything can break, guys. Take it easy. I'll see you later for Chatterbox anyway. Peace.